All right.
All right. So, I don't actually. You know what? I'll tell you one. It's a long one, but it's got a good payoff.
Okay.
All right. So there's this pregnant woman, and she's pregnant with triplets. And one day, unfortunately, she gets involved in a shooting incident. She goes to the hospital, goes through surgery and stuff like that. She comes out perfectly fine. The doctor sits her down, like once she's about to be discharged, and says the following: "You are going to be healthy. Your kids are going to be healthy, but we couldn't remove some of the bullets from the womb. So what's going to happen is your children are going to grow with these bullets in them, and they're going to pass them out naturally like they would a splinter." So she's a bit worried about it, but they send her on her way, and that's that. Years and years pass, and these triplets grow up. They're perfectly healthy, perfectly fine, perfectly happy. One day, as she's doing a bit of laundry, one of the triplets runs up to the mum and says, Mummy, I peed out a bullet." And she's like, "Oh, it's happening. What the doctor said all those years ago." Okay, so sits the kid down, explains to him what happened, so he knows what happened, and then sends him on his way, relieved that it's finally starting to happen. A couple of days later, the second triplet comes by and says, Mummy, I pooed out a bullet." So she's like, "Okay, happening again." Sits him down, explains to him what happened, sends him on his way. A few days later, the final triplet comes by and says, Mummy. And the mum says, "Let me stop you. Have you either pooed or peed out a bullet?" And he said, "No, I had a wank and I shot the dog."
Hey, she's a beauty.
Well, hey, thank you for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
For sure, man. Yeah, I mean, I love coming on podcasts here and all, and I've heard some great things about yours. But Dan was on it, so
Yeah. He was fantastic. So, all right, let's start it off. I like to do 3 quick questions.
Right. Go
Favorite
shoot.
comedy?
Show or just like any category?
Movie. Favorite movie. Favorite comedy movie.
The Longest Yard.
Wait, the old version or the Adam Sandler version?
This might be controversial, but I actually really like the Adam Sandler version. I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right, favorite fast food?
It's gonna have to be chicken nuggies.
From where? McDonald's or Burger King?
We like them over here in Britain more from McDonald's. That's where we typically get them from. But
and what sauce do you go with?
I typically bounce between just regular barbecue and the like the sweet curry sauce we have over here as well. It's very nice.
See, that's where you guys rule, because over here we don't get the sweet curry.
You don't
get curry fries or anything like that. So
that's disappointing. The curry sauce is good, man. It's so good.
Yes. All right. And if you're having cereal in the morning, do you do the milk first or the cereal?
Cereal first, of course.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Garland is weird. He's saying water and milk and then the cereal. It's just not right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Garland's really bad at video games, so maybe that's why.
All right. Let's get going. So where does the name Claymore come from?
It actually comes from an Xbox gamer tag that I came up with a while ago. So obviously we've all had our variants of our gamer tags before on Xbox, Steam, whatever you want to call it. Funnily enough, they're very. I'm not sure if you guys had this over in the US, but actually it was a US based show. I'm pretty sure, but so Robot Wars when I was growing up, there was a robot in there, like a boss one called Sir Kill-A-Lot. So that was my very first Xbox gamer tag when I was playing Halo 3 online back then. And then I had a few different variants here and there, and eventually I settled on just a Claymore. Mostly because I found swords really cool. I literally have a sword just there. So
I saw the sword on your Instagram. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. So I find him awesome. I find him really, really cool. Generally that's more or less the reason why.
All right. Very cool. Now, from a video game standpoint, do you remember your first console or were you PC?
Do handhelds count?
No, we'll skip handhelds.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. That would be the original Xbox, I think. Okay. Actually, was it PS1s? No. I'm trying to think about it. Sega. That's Sega. There we go. I remember now. Sega.
All right. An all-time favorite video game?
Oh, this is so hard because I love Tarkov, but
I know. It's like video game crack.
yeah. I'm gonna say the one I got the most time spent in when I was a kid in
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
Oh, okay.
That because back then that game was just like the groundbreaking game to rule all games.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it out there. Nothing when there was Morrowind, of course, but
Yeah.
nothing else at the time that I'd ever tried. And when I remember
Yeah.
having it having such a huge impact on me when I was a kid, I remember all the fights me and my brother had trying to play the game ourselves as well. So
Oh, fantastic. So when did you start streaming?
that would be just coming up now on 3.5 years ago.
Oh, wow. Now, are
Yeah.
you full time or is it sort of part time?
I do have a part-time job that I work alongside
Yeah.
this, but I'm still putting in like full-time hours essentially. So
Yeah.
I stream typically for maybe 7 days of a week. 2 of those
Yeah.
days off, as I mentioned, I spent video editing. So I'm like networking and stuff like that, talking to people and everything. Yeah, and then I have very little free time, but because I'm so busy and it's a lot of good things are coming from it. It's been good. I enjoy doing it. I'm passionate about doing it. So I'm putting in full-time hours for stream, but I'm also working a part-time job. So it's not the only thing I do.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. What made you decide to jump into streaming?
I can tell you exactly what it was. So early 2018, maybe halfway through 2018.
Yeah.
The only PC game I played back then was World of Warcraft, and I was getting really, really bored of it because it was just going through all those weird changes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Back then. So I remember one time I saw my younger brother, actually, who was technically the first one who introduced me to it. I remember watching over my younger brother's shoulder of him playing Escape from Tarkov, and I remember very vividly he was playing on Factory, he was hatchet running, and he actually hatcheted a really fully geared player down.
Oh, wow.
So and back then, that was way easier to do than it is now. But yeah, I remember him doing that, and I thought, you know what, I'll give that a bit of a go. I don't mind it. And so I basically did the exact same thing. I pistol ran, I hatchet ran. I had all these really cool M4s and M1As and an RSS sitting in my stash. And then I think this was 0.8, and then it wiped into 0.9.
Yeah.
And I was still doing that. I didn't really learn a lot. But then I met in the Black Site Discord back when, Black Site was a bit better than it is now. What I did was I actually linked up with a couple of very long-time friends over there. One of them was named Reevestone, who was also a fellow streamer. And we became really great Tarkov buds. He played the game for a lot longer than me. He taught me everything. One of the first raids I played, they dropped me like a fort as a Browlo, Fast MT with the mandibles, the meta back then. And just escorted me, taught me everything that we could know back then. And then I think at one point we both kind of were like mulling over the idea of streaming together. And we were both trying to figure out how it all works and stuff. And back then, I remember it being really intimidating because I had a crap PC back then. I had no camera. I only had a headset mic and stuff like that. Actually, which sounded pretty good, all things considering. Now that I think about it, but it was only until I think 2 weeks after Reevestone started streaming that I thought, screw it, let's just go for it. And I pressed the live button for the first time.
Oh wow!
And here I am.
And do you remember your first sub?
My first sub, I can tell you exactly who it was. His name is Froberto. I know that because he is my longest time sub in my channel, and he makes it very, very known every time he comes in and resubs.
Well, that's fantastic. That's something that it's very common with everybody who I've talked to about this. Everybody remembers their first sub, and and a lot of people remember that first non-friend that comes into chat, and it's like, okay, well, what do I do? What do I say? And so it's a unique experience.
Yeah, it's very memorable. I remember back then there was just nothing but love as well. I mean, I very rarely had to deal with any idiots like you typically deal with a bit more these days, but still back then, man, there was just nothing but love back then. Everybody was in the same boat, struggling with the same issues of Tarkov, like the way worse servers, way worse DC. There was a lot more camaraderie there. So a lot of my first-time viewers actually were on Factory because I was still kind of learning the game back then. And Factory was like a playground back then. I could just do whatever the hell I wanted. And a lot of my first-time viewers I met in Factory. Either they killed me or I killed them. So
So let's take a left-hand turn here. You were just talking about the chat the toxicity of chat. We all saw Veritas's
Yep.
message yesterday. It is, there are a lot of assholes out there. And it's you guys really, talking to you guys who do this as part time or full time, you've got to deal with this every day, and it takes a wear on you. I have to think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that even the hardiest people, it's not necessarily an issue of being weak-minded, being
Yeah,
like not undisciplined. It's a slow burn. It's an erosion kind of effect. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not. I'm saying I'll easily say that I've had very low mental episodes. I actually had a mental break at one point streaming because everything was getting to me.
yeah.
It's part of the territory, and it's no different having a mental breakdown at work, like a regular 9 to 5
No,
job. No different.
yeah,
I think that you can definitely toughen up. I think you can turn it into almost like a game. Whenever we get
yeah,
idiots come into chat and they're you can tell they're genuinely just there to try and
yeah,
ruin your day. Make a game out of it. You humor them a little bit, have a bit of digs at them, and then you just
yeah.
when you get bored, you just ban them and then you move on. But
Right.
when you deal with that every single day,
Yeah.
and luckily I don't. But when you deal with that every single day, it's gonna get to you, man. It's gonna get to you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the guys who are doing it so many hours a day, like yourself and Jesse, Verta, all those people, we were having I had a conversation with somebody talking about basically you're there, you really don't have any voice interaction back and forth. You're really just projecting yourself forward for the people who are running solo. And that's got to have, an effect as opposed to a normal job where you're constantly interacting with different people, different groups over time. It is a tough thing, and it's something that I think people need to be aware of, and sort of prepare for that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that one of my part-time job I'm working right now is working in a pub, and that's a very,
Yeah,
very, very social job. You're talking to the staff, the regulars often, having conversations
yeah,
with them like people. So I guess if you spend more time in that kind of environment, that social environment, you're more able to pick up the social cues that kind
yeah,
of alert you to that kind of person, or this
yeah,
person's cool and then they're fine. It also just
yeah,
helps you, I guess, to a degree, develop more patience for it. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm,
because because you've got a bit more of a healthier social routine.
right,
I guess you
yeah,
can differentiate between the two. Obviously, some of us can't get that for health reasons, or
yeah,
sometimes the jobs. You're in. More people than ever are working from home now. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
yeah. So yeah.
Now, what advice would you give to somebody who's starting out into, hey, I'm
Um,
going to start streaming, and
I usually I say 5 points, but every time I go through the point, I remember another point. So I'm going to say 6 just to keep myself
yeah,
safe. The first thing you should absolutely do when you're streaming is set a schedule and stick to it. Like
yeah,
4 hour streams at the very least, whenever and wherever you can do them. Peak times. You can figure that out for yourself, but always stick to a schedule, make it consistent.
yeah,
Talk to your chat like you're talking to 1,000 people, even if you have one person in your chat. Just
yeah,
constant, because I learned this as well. I'm a very chatty guy. You might have seen that. The more you talk, even if it's talking into the void, like the more you talk, the more opportunities you're opening up for your chat or a new person, a new follower, a viewer to engage with you
yeah,
in. And then you can segue off that. Then you can start talking about things you like about whatever you're streaming about, whether it's a game, art,
yeah,
whatever. So talk to your chat like you're talking to a very big crowd of people. Doesn't matter how quiet chat is. Doesn't matter how few people are in there. Always do that.
yeah,
Third point I think is find a fair balance of the energy you output there onto the stream. Like I talk about this a fair bit. As a streamer, you need to obviously apply maybe a couple more filters than you would usually need to. Let's say out there with your buddies, but the YouTuber energy, I like to call it, it's not something you can uphold very easily, at least not without the help of a lot of caffeine for a long
mhm,
time streaming. So act like yourself, maybe be a bit more energetic, but don't be the hype beast. Because some people can find that quite obnoxious. It's just
yeah,
be yourself, be chill, bit of energy. It's more relatable to a lot of your viewers.
yeah,
Fourth, networking.
yeah,
Social media's make it many as you can. It
Absolutely.
doesn't
Yeah.
even matter necessarily if you're not active on one. Just have a presence. Just have a presence
Yep.
there. Like, because at the end of the day, all it takes is someone just to come across, even in not a platform you're not too active on, pick up on some of your content, like it, and then come over to your stream. You know, like
Yeah.
Twitter can be an annoying place to be in sometimes, but I've met a lot of people through there. I've linked up with a lot of people through there. I've had some genuinely great moments coming through there. Same for YouTube, Hover, TikTok, you know, stuff like that. It's all really important. Networking is very important, and do not be afraid to reach out to people bigger than you otherwise for collaborations, projects, whatever. Don't be afraid to do that because you've got nothing to lose if they turn you down, and you know they have to network too. So
Yeah. It's funny you said that. Like, don't hesitate to reach out. That's on our. I do another podcast, The Hideout, with a bunch of my buddies.
yes, yeah,
And the first guest we had was Veritas, and it's like, you know what? We were talking about, hey, let's get some mid-level guys. We'll work our way up. And it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just ping them. We got nothing to lose. And then he replied, "Yeah, I'll do it." I was like, "Hang on, is this the fake Veritas or is this the real Veritas?" And we were like, "No way!" And it's like, yeah, so it's like you said, don't be afraid to reach out.
and that's it. I mean, I've reached out with. I remember the first time I reached out to Ghost Freak. You know, like we ran into each other a few times in Tarkov, and eventually reached out to him, and he said, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's play." And I tell you what, like I think that was a big confidence booster as well because it made me realize that I'm overthinking. You know, if you, even if you send them a message and they don't get around to checking it, that's okay. You've sent them the message. I know, for example, Kings, hundreds of DMs, if not maybe 1,000 every day. It's very easy to lose them, track of them. But shoot your shot. You got nothing to lose.
Yep, absolutely. Now, what is the toughest thing that you found about being, doing this multiple hours a day every day?
I've gone through a lot of like mental development in the last year and a half. I think I've really gotten to the nitty and gritty of what bothers me about streaming. I think the biggest thing I had to get over was the numbers. Like, obviously, we all want to succeed on Twitch. We all want to earn a decent income on Twitch, but you can, without realizing it, get very caught up in the numbers. Really caught up into it to an unhealthy extent, to the point you're dwelling on it. You're thinking, what am I doing wrong? Why is this person doing less than me, but why are they getting more views and stuff like that?
Right.
Like, you can lead that into imposter syndrome as well, for example. But the biggest thing I think for me was the numbers, getting over them, not caring nearly as much about them. At the end of the day, I am wanting to get to partner. That is an objective I want to get to. But all I'm gonna do is just continue what I'm doing, keep making content, keep thinking of cool ideas to come up, keep growing my amazing community, keep making great friends, and but the numbers, what do they mean, Mason? Mean there.
Yeah.
They can mess with you, and they definitely mess with me. Aside from that, I think I've come far enough that I'm very content and comfortable with streaming now. We all have our low moments, obviously, but come through a lot.
Good. Now, how close are you? How is the partnership coming along? Going to Twitch partner.
We're about halfway there, actually. We're not doing too bad.
Oh, no way.
I've met all the other criteria, and it's funny really because I've before hit an average viewership of 75. I've got the option to apply, but obviously they ask for a consistent viewership of 75 for I think over the course of 2-3 months, and then you can apply.
Yeah.
I think that I'm getting a lot of great results from platforms like TikTok and YouTube. Even if a TikTok that blew up brings over 2 people, that's a win in my book. As long as they come to the stream. I actually had a viewer come over from my TikTok. I uploaded a video that blew up about maybe getting jump scared by sound alerts. You've probably seen a couple of those as well. And he came over from TikTok, and he's spent a lot of money scaring me because he enjoys it so much. But that's the success that brings with you, as long as you're consistent on the platforms. We are doing well. We are moving through. It's not a race, it's a marathon. So but my community since the beginning of this year have been incredible. They've been interacting with my content than ever before, helping me out more than ever before, pushing it out there. It's been I mean, with the results I've been getting already for three and a bit months in, it's going well.
It's crazy how whether it's YouTube Shorts or TikTok, how one video can just explode. There's no logic to it.
I mean,
be watching the numbers, and it's like, yeah, like 10,000 views. Like, holy crap!
The algorithms. It's interesting, really, because the moment I think I figured out the algorithm, to say do the same thing, same time, whatever, then that video could get 100 views. It is interesting how it works, but I guess the point of that is just to keep uploading it, get those ones that hit the algorithm like that. Keep doing that keep rinse and repeat, bring more followers, more viewers, and stuff like that to the channel. Like I remember one time I'd average maybe a couple of hundred views on TikTok most videos, which I was happy with at the time. And then I uploaded one that got 7,000 views, and then I uploaded one that got 15,000 views, and I was like, okay, it's going well. And then the next one I uploaded after that got 500,000 views.
Holy shit!
Yeah, that was a mind blow there. Yeah. And I think one recent one I actually uploaded, the sound alert scare one. I think that's on 80,000 going up to right now. So all I know from so far I know at least is that uploading at midnight seems to work sometimes. Yeah. So most of the time at least. So yeah.
When that 500,000 one hit, where you constantly just refresh, like, holy shit, I can't, it just keeps going and going and going.
I think that was my first time that I had the experience of my phone blowing up. You know what I mean? Like, the followers, the notifications, the comments, the share. Like, that was the first time my phone wouldn't sit still. Really, really cool experience. Really cool experience.
So now over the last few years, doing your live streams, have you noticed a certain day of the week or time of the year where chat is a little wilder than normal? Like, is it after school or, certain days of the week?
I'd say probably more of the weekend. I'd say my Sunday stream typically tend to be busier and a bit more hectic. I guess it's good to set a schedule, like I said, but like if I had a choice in it, because obviously, like I said, I work, I'd definitely stream right through the weekend and then maybe leave some of the midweek days off. But at least this way, then I'm covering the people who work in the weekend, and then the people who don't work throughout. You know what I mean? Like covering as many bases as possible there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, looking back over the last few years, what was the one high moment that you can think of, like, holy crap, this was amazing? Like, did you get raided by somebody or?
September. Before the previous Septembers, I didn't really set any objectives down. I just let people do what they wanted to do, because, like I said, I was a lot more chilled back then, but I guess I wasn't also as proactive. So this last September, I set a bunch of goals from 0 to 1,000 subs. And we must have gotten about 940 in that month. It was a very, very crazy month. I did a lot of stuff, a lot of giveaways, a lot of challenges complete and stuff like that. I'm going to be getting a tattoo, essentially. I'm picking it, don't worry. I'm picking the tattoo.
I saw that on the bottom of your thing, a tattoo fund.
Yeah. So it's funny, actually, because I'd done that so close to Christmas and New Year's, obviously the costs had to go out and stuff. So what I'm doing is that I'm also helping chat decide what they want to do for add to the tattoo. Once again, it's going to be my consent, but I love stuff like that where I can kind of bring a little bit of community involvement into. I'm sure there's going to be a dick butt tattoo at some point. I'm sure at some point, but we're not reached there just yet.
Now, what tattoo do you have? Do you have anything in mind of what you want or where you're going to get it?
Yes. So I've figured out exactly what I want. So I'm going to get it on probably my right one, but I'm going to get it on the flat of my arm there. So this is actually a nod to my dad's tattoo, and I'll explain it in a moment.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be getting a Claymore, like the actual sword itself, tattooed on there. It's gonna be my own design. It's gonna be unique. And I've already gotten a couple of drafts of it today. It's looking really, really good. The premise of it is gonna be on there. It's gonna be like a cool little like background and stuff like that. On the length of the blade, like the Frostmourne from World of Warcraft, like those runes down the blade.
Yeah.
So there's think of that, but more like not nearly as like nasty looking. They're gonna be like stylized glowing initials down the blade of my loved ones, so like immediate family members. I'm gonna leave room on the blade as well for future family members, like my wife and my kids whenever they come around. The reason why I said that's a nod to my dad's tattoo, because on his shoulder he got like a compass, and each of the cardinal directions he got like our first names, third list of our first names. So bit of a nod to his one.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So now, how did you end up meeting Dan?
Through Reevestone, actually, my friend that I started streaming with. I think he and Reevestone either met in a raid or connected with each other out of Tarkov first. My first
Yeah.
actual encounter with Dan, actually remember it pretty vividly. I was doing a nighttime customs raid. I came out of dorms too, like dorms VX side on the metal stairs. Ran into his
Yeah.
teammate, killed him, moved around, and then Dan nearly killed me, but I managed to get him through the bush, and I managed to get out with their stuff. That was my first encounter with him. It was a really cool encounter too because he was so chill about it. He was really, really, he was really impressed with my plays and stuff, and we bounced with each other for a while, back and forth. Then occasionally we play with each other, and occasionally we interact with each other and stuff. It was only recently, like actually the last probably 3 months or so, that we started playing with each other every Tuesday, like he probably mentioned when he was on here.
Yeah.
And we made it a thing. Every Tuesday we'll just meme about, have a laugh on Lighthouse, basically.
Excellent. So now, speaking of Lighthouse and Tarkov, how much did you enjoy 12-12?
I have said this over and over again, and I will stick by it. This is probably the most I've enjoyed Tarkov since Reserve came out. So it's point 12 came out. Obviously, some good things happen in the patches after Reserve and stuff like that, but none.
Yeah.
The content dump, the great changes, balancing that came out, like it was genuinely like a huge breath of fresh air. It was genuinely like an absolute pleasure. The flea market limitations made the mid game longer again. Like people were immediately getting alt-ins and slicks day one. It felt like the Tarkov I'd start playing. You know what I mean? Prior to flea market, I still think to this day the flea market can go in a ditch and die. I feel like it caused more harm to the game than good. But this patch I've loved. Lighthouse, I love the map. The rogues need work. It needs more optimization. But I love the map as a whole. I think just having the potential now of being able to snipe pretty easily from 600 meters plus is fantastic. It really brings out the ballistic system of Tarkov and long range sniping. I remember how much I freaked out when I got my first 600 meter kill in a PMC. Like freaking out when I've been playing the game for 4+ years. Does good things. VoiP, absolutely fantastic. Genuinely, it's a very simple feature, but I think it just added a huge layer to the game. I've had some amazing moments through VoiP. Inertia, love it or hate it, I fucking love it. I think it's
fantastic. It separates it even more from COD and those running jumpy guys.
Yeah. Now that like, and I'll say this as well. Like, I think the arcadey system of combat we had prior to this patch, I had fun with it. Don't get me wrong, I had fun with it, and I think watching players like Willers, like Quattro Race and stuff like that, and Ghost Freak, watching them absolutely master the arcadey style of it, it's super cool to watch. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that it wasn't cool. It was, and the Call of Duty style montages and clutches and stuff like that, they are always going to be entertaining. But but then the classic player base of today, then we started seeing a lot of cheese. Then we started seeing a lot of the jiggle peeking, the at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer. I don't think any game should encourage essentially movement to be the hardcore focus of if whether or not you win a fight.
Right.
Save that for Warzone, save that for Apex Legends, save it for those games. Doesn't belong in Tarkov. And I think that it did that. I think that Inertia did a fantastic job of, like you said, like helping moving away from that meta. And like people like to say holding corners is viable now, but people do it too much. And with how the movement used to be last wipe, holding corners was impossible. It was a useless function nearly. So
No, it's been 12-12 is fantastic, and I remember playing when you'd go into labs and you'd be able to carry the weapons case and everything, and just run around with. It's where it is now. I liked the flea market when it first came out. I liked all the optimizations they've done, all the changes. Pulling away the high end bullets, the high end armor and whatnot. I like this. This flea market is fantastic, and when he added found and raid, that was another good thing instead of people buying out the flea market and reselling everything. Yeah, no, 12-12 has been fantastic. I was a little leery about VoIP. It's like, let's hope this doesn't go the way it could.
Yeah,
and it's been wonderful. Their implementation was really good.
I was nervous about VoIP. I really was, because I played DayZ, I played Scum. As much as the good times outweighed the bad, the potential for there being a lot of TOS stuff was there. But I'm very, very happy to report that after what are we on 4 months nearly now of this patch.
Yeah.
Cracking on for it.
Yep.
I've had one instance of where someone did a slur. Just one, and I've had a lot of VoIP interactions too. So.
Well, I think it also lends to the fact that it's Tarkov is a more mature game. It's not, we're not getting the 10 and 12-year-olds and, whatnot, bouncing around it as well. So that probably helps as well.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's definitely, like I said, a bit of an older, more mature player base. And I think that's definitely worked in the game's favor. Definitely.
Yeah. And how about over Christmas when they dropped the radar drops? That was a nice surprise.
Yes, the airdrops. Yeah, that was
airdrops.
Yeah. That genuinely no idea they were ever going to do that. I know that they said they wanted to do that on streets, for example, but I never knew they were actually going to go through with it. It was like something that I deemed, a little bit ahead in the future,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember looting my first airdrop, and it was like it literally was like opening a Christmas present. And then obviously, then I found a couple of things that I getting shot at. Luckily, we locked down the area and went back to looting.
Because it can change your tactics. When that airdrop comes in, it's okay. I can sit back and wait, get those shooter borns.
Yeah, I mean, everybody could be avoiding each other for the entire array doing tasks or whatever. And then the moment that airdrop lands on the ground, suddenly everybody's like, do we go for that? And suddenly it's like a big PvP event. It's great. Really is great.
Now, speaking of the PvP aspect of things, do you run like when you first started playing Tarkov, were you running with friends or were you running solo?
When I first started, I did nothing but solo hatchet running and pistol running.
Yeah.
And then when I started squadding up with my guy Reeve and then a couple of other people as well, team play nearly all the time. So I'm weird. I think that I like solo play.
Yeah.
But I like that it essentially forces me to use all of my skills rather than like relying on my teammate and stuff like that, like for certain roles and stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say that I have a much better experience in squads. It feels way better, way more satisfying when you go up against another squad and yours comes out on top. I can't explain it. It's like a ranked match almost, and your team, you know what I mean? Like that feeling of elation. Oh, yeah. You all did good. You all landed your shots. Your comms were good. Nothing beats that. Nothing beats that.
But this game really shows how poor we are at communicating.
You
run a 2-man is easy. You roll a 4 or 5-man. There's friendships are going to get destroyed.
Yeah, I actively try to avoid 4s and 5s unless I feel like I just don't care. I just want to just memes, like 3-man's my sweet spot. 4-man's at a push I can do, and typically then when we do 4s, we tend to split up a little bit. We'll like maybe 2 people will overwatch, 2 people will be then like front guard almost,
Mm-hmm.
But 4s and 5s chaos. And I will say one thing as well: 90% of the time when you go up against a 5-man, if you know what you're doing as a solo, you could probably wipe the majority of the squad before you eventually die, because the comms are all over the place.
And it's what's even more interesting is when you play with a new group of people or somebody else, and now your call outs are totally different than what they may be calling out, and that's a huge adjustment.
It is, and it's funny as well because obviously I was talking about TX, how he readied me right before this. I changed my call out for Dome on reserve purely because of TX, and one time I had ran into him on reserve, I killed him, and he mentioned like he'd just come down from the tit. And since then, I've called him nothing but tit. Since then, it confuses people, but yeah.
Oh yeah, over on near the medic door on reserve, we call them cleavage, left tit and right tit.
Yeah, no, we say the same thing. Like we say cleavage and stuff like 100%. Yeah.
Oh, it's just too funny. What was the thing that hooked you into Tarkov?
I think
that's ruined all other games for you.
The gunplay, I think. The fact that ADSing and firing from the hip were nearly as good as the other. I think the gunplay, the reloading, the mag drilling, obviously it was a bit simpler when I started. You don't have to check for, malfunctions and other stuff like that. But I think back then, just the gunplay, it felt so much slower, but the gunplay felt so much smoother. I couldn't describe it back then, but the gunplay is what kept me. And then the looting element happened, and then
Yes.
like
Yep.
where all the things you could find out there in the world, the loose spawns, the crates, the
Hmm.
bags, the filing cabinets, the coats, the scabs, the
Adding stashes.
exactly, yeah, exactly. Like there was just
Yeah.
so much happening, and I felt like back then at least I could just stick in my little corner of the map, get out, my T plugs, my chainlets and stuff like
Yep.
that. I mean, maybe some Tishonkas, and get out with a
Yeah.
good haul. It was definitely. I think other games had touched upon that kind of system, but
Hmm.
never before. And I think one more thing as well, and I think I'm going to play a baddie here. Tarkov's like gambling.
Yes.
Every time a bullet hits your armor, it's a slot machine. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
for example, am I going to bounce it? Is it going to fragment? Is it just going to splash? Is it going to get through?
Yep.
Stuff like that. And the gambling RNG element of it, whilst it can be a lot of, quite infuriating at times, 100%.
Hmm.
Just it's no other feeling can describe when your helmet bounces around that would have killed you otherwise, and that allowed you to wipe a 3-man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just that sense of gambling that you won the gamble and you come out on top. It's fantastic. And yeah, a lot of elements to do it, but I think primarily the gunplay is what kept me.
Yeah. For me, it's created so many memorable moments. Like I remember when, Interchange came out and I was, in one of the stores, heard a whole bunch of Chads coming down, and I just laid still and watched 3 of them just walk by, and like the pucker factor was intense at that
Yes, yeah,
point.
the pucker factor, 100%.
Or the other aspect too is like you could have a full 25-minute engagement with some other guy, just cat and mouse bouncing around, and when you get the kill, it's just you earned it. Versus, or if you lost, and it's like, oh, it's just defeated at that point. It's no other game touches that.
No, I 100% agree. I know, obviously, with the face it box added, fights might end a bit quicker, but
Right.
when your strategies are on point, when your guesswork's on point, when you know what the enemy's doing and they know what you're doing, all it comes down to then is who dares wins. You know what I mean? Nearly like, and when you have that satisfying fight and you come out on top, like you said, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your least favorite quest out of all of the quests we have to deal with?
It would have to be. What's my least favorite? I wasn't actually the shotgun ones, but ever since they added the Ultima build, I really enjoy it using the Ultima. I think the worst one probably would be the final task of Tarkov Shooter. We have to get the 3 Balti kills in one raid.
Yeah.
Yes. It on paper it sounds doable, but and that's the case for a lot of tasks. Like, if this sounds simple enough, I've just got to find a couple of spark plugs, but then they never show up. I feel like when I get to that task, suddenly like my survival rate drops. I can't find anybody, and when I am landing shots, I just can't get the kill. It's infuriating, definitely.
Yeah. And what's your favorite map? Is it Factory still?
I was the Factory King. I think everybody can say at some point they were the Factory King. For sure. But I think my favorite map currently would probably, as much as it is in a shit state right now, Lighthouse. Honestly, I think it's because there's always guaranteed rogues there.
Yes.
There's always that guaranteed challenging PvE element. The rogues can be very cheesy, and sometimes you've got to cheese the rogues yourself in the current state they're in now, but just cleanly taking out the turrets, then spotting the patrols, cleanly taking them out. I can't describe it, but it literally feels like I'm in a movie when I do that, and it's the same feeling over and over again. Because as much as the rogues are needing work, I at the very least appreciate that they don't just let you do whatever you want to do. There's always, like you said, the pucker moment. You could be looking at a rogue. It doesn't matter if he's got an iron sights gun and 200 meters. If he sees you, he's going to shoot at you. And, you've got to make sure you land that shot first. And even if they don't miss you, you tense up, you move back into cover, and then you try and find another angle. As much as there are problems with them, I will say that engaging the rogue compound is always a good time.
Yeah. And now, do you stream other games?
I have.
You're excited for Cycle to come out.
Yes, yeah. So I have streamed DayZ before. There's been a couple of periods during especially quiet or boring patches for Tarkov where we did swap over to DayZ. I do like DayZ. The biggest turn off for me for the game is the gunplay. It's very very clunky. It's really clunky. I never liked it, but played with the guys. Cool, getting some long range sniper engagements in, and it is satisfying when you do get those close quarters kills. I've streamed what else? I've streamed a bit of Scum. Did stream a bit of Scum a while ago. What else do I usually stream? Yeah, I mean Cycle. That first beta phase came out during a very quiet time in Tarkov, and
it was a good time to sneak in and get everybody's attention.
Yeah, and then I'm looking for that starts tomorrow, and I'm very excited to go back to that. And I'm actually gonna, opposed to last time, actually create some content for it as well, some videos and some guides and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to that too. Yeah. No, typically I'd say like it's probably 90% Tarkov and then 10% whatever, you know.
Yeah. We had Pestily on one of our pods a while ago, and he brought up the fact that Tarkov is almost like the perfect game from a streaming standpoint, because you have the beginning, the build up where you can interact with your chat, do whatever. Then you go into the game, a little bit of chat interaction here and there. Then when you come out, back to chat, doing your stash and back and forth. And it's like, that's because if you're a streamer doing COD, you're just run in, die, run in, die. You know, there's no that moment where you can actually, enjoy your chat or your community.
Yeah, and it's cool because this bouncing back to DayZ. The thing is about DayZ is there's too much downtime. You know, there's like you're walking miles. You can run for like half an hour without really doing much or saying much. With Tarkov, there are these windows, like you said, of you're talking to people in the stash while you're loading in. Then when you load in, you're not paying as much attention to chat, but during this brief moments of downtime, you're healing, eating, packing mags, etc., looting. You glance over and see what's going on.
Yep.
And I think Tarkov especially is a really good game for the viewer to enjoy as well, because a lot of people in my chat, either they don't like Tarkov enough to play it, but they like it enough to watch people do it. Either that or they're too busy to play it properly.
Mm-hmm.
And they can experience it. I know that's more or less the same thing what streaming typically is for a lot of viewers. They experience it through another lens, but for Tarkov it's better because you can get involved. You can say, streamer, why don't you try this gun or these attachment combos, or why don't you go this map, or why don't you try and do this task? There's a bit their own involvement there. Like, it's not like Call of Duty, like you said, where it's just like, streamer, use this gun.
Yeah.
And then that's it. It stops there, Like,
yeah. Evasion. I hear you're a caster for them.
Yes.
How did you get hooked into that?
Funnily enough, it kind of just happened. I was there at Evasion for season 1. I started off as a participant. I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to get more into Evasion and stuff like that and start helping them out with certain things. And, then obviously Sigma, I think I made good friends with her before I joined Evasion. She's a wonderful human being. She the thing she has done for both Evasion and the community, uplifting people that deserve it, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I was there since season 1, participated, got a bit involved in the process, but I don't think I ever really fully committed to it. It was only until season 2, I think, where I started getting into it. And we started needing people to cast, because obviously Sigma used to do it alongside maybe a couple of streamer guests. But then we started getting busier, and Sigma had to spend more time off the stream than on the stream and stuff like that. Then we started asking around, and then I got approached if I wanted to be a caster. And I was like, I've never done anything like that before, but people tell me I've got the voice for it. Let's do it.
I was just going to say, you have the voice for it. You could be calling a darts match. You could be, calling a football match. You do definitely have that voice.
Yeah, I think you talked to Bunny about the roles casters have.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think Bunny has an absolutely incredible voice for podcast casting as a whole. And
he could also sub in for Deadly.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, 100%. And he mentioned like the host, play-by-play and stuff like that. I'm definitely more of a play-by-play because I can talk very quickly. So I'm definitely more suited to that role, I'd say. But for me, casting ultimately it's another honeypot to dip my fingers in. Like the more I do it, the more I get good at it, the more possible opportunities present themselves where I can cast and stuff like that. like for example, absolutely love to try and get on a podcasting team at some point. I love doing them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's nice to just sit and talk about Tarkov rather than playing it. Sometimes as a
Yes.
full-time streamer, you prefer to do that. There
Yeah.
are some times where I will just sit and stream for about 30, 40 minutes. And we just talk about Tarkov. So, yeah. But
It's
yeah,
amazing. It's amazing how much you can talk about one game with your buddies. It is an amazing game. They've really done a great job with it.
I mean, yeah, it's brought people and communities together. Over ideas they share with, they agree with,
Yeah.
even disagree with. Like it still brought them together sometimes. Like
Yeah.
it's a fantastic thing to talk about. There's so much to talk about, and
Mhm.
there's so much potential to talk about as well.
And crafting, theory crafting.
Mm.
Here'd be a great idea to do this or do that, and all of that gets lumped in with the whole discussion.
Yep, gets the juices flowing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, very cool. So now, when are you a part of the events that's going on right now with Evasion, or do you only cast certain events?
So I think we all try to like let balance people out, try and bring on more people, like to try and cover multiple events so everybody gets their shot.
Yeah.
More people have more time. I have
Yep.
more time, so you might see me more casting. Bunny does a lot of like not just the hosting work, but the admin work for the host role as well. So obviously
Yeah.
you'll see him more hosting and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I am a participant though. I mean, I have applied and been in nearly every single tournament. Couldn't get into this one, unfortunately. We were just shy of the bottom point, but even the qualifiers alone were fantastic. Sigma came in at some point when me and Zariel were doing ours, and we were talking about how the pressure was even greater when we had to try and survive all raids in a row, and also try and be point efficient. It was great. It was a great qualifier because it wasn't just like run to dorms, get PMC kills, leave. It was
Right.
choose a good route, pick your fights wisely, try and get as many scabs as you can. Try and like don't pick fights that leave you in a rough spot. It was stress testing you and all your knowledge as a Tarkov player. And I know some people mentioned that they found it really boring, and I don't understand that at all. But I mean, each their own, I guess.
Right, yes.
But yeah,
True.
at the end of the day, I love the Evasion tournaments. They're absolutely fantastic. The objectives, the item focus too. It's not. Now, I'm not saying anything that's wrong with kill focus tournaments.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. But what Evasion does, what I really appreciate they do, is they try to encompass all of Tarkov rather than just that little bit there.
Right. No, that's the nice thing about it. You hit the nail right on the head there with being able to do objective based missions, or get kills, get the kill the bosses, get the tank batteries, whatever, and that will change your tactic. It's not just run, get angles, and shoot. And she's done such a great job with building up Evasion, and looks like we got some exciting things to come down the road.
Oh yeah, a lot of exciting things to come. Obviously, this goes without saying too, but the staff and the battle mods, working in Evasion, they do immense work. Purely driven by the fact they love Evasion, they love the community, they love Tarkov. That's all they do.
Yeah.
It's not even like they're on a wage. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
not yet. Hopefully, in the future, maybe. But the battle mods and the staff, the behind the scenes guys, like Hotel Bravo. He's the right hand man, but he's always the one guiding us whilst we're casting. He's speaking in our ear. Telling us what to talk about, helping us transition smoothly, helping us okay, talk less about this, more about this. He's a guiding hand, and they all do so much work. The amount of production that goes into the Evasion shows it would stagger you. It's literally like a professional news show almost. So
yeah. Oh, that is so cool. Oh, I know what I was remembering. So you were talking about the viewers watching your stream. Tarkov is a game where you've got a time commitment. You've got to sink a lot of time to get good, enjoy the game. But you made a good point about people may just want to watch you play Tarkov and not have to go through that grind.
Yeah. Tarkov, I mean, I know I appreciate, the people who, I want to call them casuals because I never like the term casuals. It just sounds really demeaning. The players with less time, less energy, to invest in the
Mm-hmm.
game. You know, like I understand the frustration that they can't get into it like a lot of other people can. You know, and obviously,
Yep.
you know, then they start saying things like, "Why can't we just get a store to experience boosters and
Right.
that kind of stuff to help people kind of like progress a little bit quicker and stay up to pace?" The
Yep.
thing is like every game that's done that has died.
Yep.
Every single game. It doesn't matter what game it is, how active it is still. Every single game has lost its spirit and its appeal when that happens. And
Yep.
you know, props to Battlestate for not caving for this, but
Mm-hmm.
the beauty of a game like Tarkov is that it used to be like that for every game back 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You spend time in a game, the more time you spend, you get better at it, and then you know that was it. You know, like
Yep.
OG World of Warcraft. You know, the reason why that was so great is because there was no shortcuts to take. There were things to help you kind of bump up a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
you were rewarded for your time. The sensation of being rewarded was greater. And the reason why Tarkov I think is so great in that respect is because it's not a lot of games do that now. Not a lot of games reward you for your time. You either have spend 5,000 hours to unlock this character, or spend $20 to get this character. You know,
Right.
like they don't do that, and I really do appreciate that. Flea market, you can interpret it as a way, but the thing is about the flea market, and we're going back to the limitations placed now. The problem I had with it is that it eliminated the mid game completely. Arguably, the best part of Tarkov is when you're going in with level 4 armor, a nice tactical helmet, mid-tier guns, you know, like, and you're scared because this is the best stuff you can get at the time.
Yes. Yep. Gear fear.
Yeah. Even today, the mid game scares me because because losing a mid game loadout, especially when you're way ahead of people, you know, it hurts. It hurts when you lose it, and especially when you need to go back in insurance. Now that we've got the limitations in place, the mid game is so much longer now. You know, I was using Corans for such a long time. You know, I was finding those diaries for the barter. You know, like and you know, I was racing to those visors to try and get to them because I couldn't buy them in the flea market anymore. At least not the good ones. So you know, I'm happy with that. I love early game, but I think mid game, that the longevity of it being increased now has definitely done the game wonders.
Right. It eliminates, you know, you don't have those guys that have the whole, you know, all the rubles to just go by level 5, come back in. You know, you value your gear a little bit more. You're more cautious about what you bring in.
Yeah.
And nobody's, you know, you don't have everybody always running the top tier ammo.
But yeah, going back to the original point about viewers not having time to play the game, so they watch people. You know, like it's good for them because you know, like I said, they can tell you, you know, oh, check this area. Maybe that's a good look for your loot. Oh, you need this item. Maybe go to this person or this area. You know, they can help guide you like towards there. You know, you can get a big backseaty sometimes, like anything else. But I find with Tarkov, it's more just a come from a place of genuine. Hey, I want to help you. This is what I think you should do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, I feel for the players who can't invest as much time as they would like to, but you know, at least respect the fact that, you know, it's all a case of just, you know, it's life. You know, you do a Sunday 9 to 5 job. I'm not wrong with that, but you're not gonna have a lot of time to do a lot of things else because you're investing for your future. That's life, man. You know.
Yeah. And I like them not caving and saying, okay, you know what, your gear has this value. You'll play against these guys. You know, you'll play, you know, 1 through 10. You guys play together. That's one of the nice things about this. A level 5 guy running some PM pistol could take out a Chad, catch him in the right way, and there you go. It's those experiences that, you know, no other game does.
No, it's the ultimate equalizer. You know, like that guy with an SKS. You can easily get for your exfil helmet, you know, like that guy who managed to scrounge together a couple rounds of 5FA1 could get for your alt visor, you know. Just it is almost like it's very humbling for a lot of the older players to get killed by a new player and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and we've all remembered our first juicy kill. I remember mine still to this day vividly because it's upsetting as well. I responded to customs nighttime by mistake. I had no flashlight. I was blind as a bat, barely knew the map. I took shots from a guy who the only way I could see him, because he had the green spot in his head from the night vision glare. So I aimed for
Yeah.
that spot and shot it. I killed him. He had this really geared M4. He had a Zabralo, the night vision, like the S-Lock, like, head mount and
Yeah.
stuff like that. He had all that stuff. But because he had shot me a bunch, my head was blacked. And because I was so scared, I was trembling that I had all this really big gear on me. I hugged that wall like it was my mother when I was born.
Yeah.
The problem with that was that there's barbed wire on top of that wall.
Yep.
At one point, it was fine, I was hugging the wall, but at one point the barbed wire hung down a little bit more. So what I remember doing was I remember hugging the wall, I had that sound of barbed wire on my black dart head, and I fell.
Yep.
That's my favorite. I remember that clear as day, though. Like, I remember it moment to moment.
Well, that's the other thing with this game, night. Going in at night is a whole different experience. Now that you add, when they added the cultists to the map, and it's the pucker factor increases, and I hope they do some more with the cultists. I really enjoy that aspect.
I hope they do more with nighttime as a whole. Like, I know that with the addition of post effects, nighttime can be a little bit up and down at night vision, at least.
Yes,
I know that it's still pretty good right now. I've been told that scab bosses spawn more at nighttime. I don't know how true that is, but I'd love there to be more incentive to go nighttime. Like, I don't know, maybe there's a higher amount of scav spawns for your scav kill tasks. Maybe there are only items that will spawn at night. Maybe
that's a good idea.
Maybe going at night has more loot as a whole because it's nighttime. There's not going to be as many scavs scavenging the area. They're all going to be hunkering down and stuff. More stuff to do in nighttime, I think, would be fantastic. Especially with interchange. Like that map, you can't use night vision on that map for as long back as they've reworked the lighting system.
There's something odd with that map.
Yep.
That even using thermals, it's different than other maps.
Yep. And it's all because the light system changed and it's killed nighttime. You could probably still go there without night vision, but the opportunity there is completely killed. The cultists, sometimes you get cheesed out by one, but I remember the first time going up against them, and they are terrifying.
Oh God, yeah. I only wish they would scream when they come close to you, just to add that level of like.
Just yell, just not even like just any words, just scream bloody murder at you. Yeah.
They get in like, 3-foot radius, and then they stab you. It's like, oh my God, yes.
They run away, giggling to themselves.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, enough about Tarkov. What do you watch any other content creators?
I don't have as much time to watch people as I'd like to because obviously I have a lot of free time. But I try to tune into my friends' streams as much as possible. Like Vintorez, Josh Posh. I try to stop by Hayes, Dan Exert, Zariel. Hay Bales, Beanie Queen, Miss Trash. Try and stop by some of the bigger streamers too. Veritas I probably visit a bit more often than usual. Clean. I try to go by as many streams as possible, but I don't have a lot of free time, unfortunately. I'll always pop in, though, drop the resub, and say it's checking how they're doing and stuff.
Any unknowns that people should check out, or people that are sort of flying under the radar that you've come across? Like, just go give this guy a follow. Check him out.
Honestly, I would suggest. It's funny actually because we met this person the other day on Exchange. His name is Loket_TVC. Me and AziTTV were playing Exchange, and we ran into this guy, and he absolutely murked us both. But he was really chill, good energy and stuff like that. And the guy is insane. He's really, really good at the game, So I'd suggest him. We ran into him recently, we raided him recently, so definitely give him a shout. I think that there's one person I think that definitely could use more appreciation for sure. Probably would be my buddy Zariel. He does a lot with his community. He plays so much with his community. He's a really cool, funny guy and stuff like that. Definitely feel like people can definitely stop by his place and give him some more love too.
There we go. Excellent. Now, after the stream is done, what so you bartend, you got all your editing that you need to do. What else do what's your what do you have a hobby? Do you another passion for something else?
Right now there's not a lot of time for stuff like that. Occasionally I'll squeeze in maybe a couple of hours just to play on another game. Like I'm playing a bit of Total War Warhammer 3 recently because that came out soon. I like going to the movies, cinema and stuff like that, even if it's on my own. It sounds sad, I know, but I just love the just the environment, it's great, and it's an excuse to maybe get myself some some popcorn, some cheesy nachos.
Yep. What was your last movie you saw?
Oh, in the movies or as a whole?
Yes. In the movies.
That would be Spider-Man Far From. Was it No Way Home? No Way Home.
Far From
Yeah.
Home? Okay.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, we just went out and saw the 3-hour movie. The new Batman movie we just saw on the
Yeah.
weekend.
I've heard very good things about that. I want to go see that as
It
soon as I
was
can.
really good. Yeah, I definitely recommend that.
Definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Gonna watch even looking forward to it now. Yeah. But yeah. Usually I just spend a lot of time just chilling out. Sometimes I'll just chill in a Discord, just chat to people.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, cool.
wind down.
All right, 2 things before we let you go. One, I got to hear a dad joke. Dan talked about you and your bad dad jokes. I got to hear one. You got one.
I'll give you two. I'll give you
Okay.
one from me, and I'll give you one from chat that was recommended earlier.
All right.
So, I don't actually. You know what? I'll tell you one. It's a long one, but it's got a good payoff.
Okay.
All right. So, there's this pregnant woman, and she's pregnant with triplets. And one day, unfortunately, she gets involved in a shooting incident. She goes to the hospital, goes through surgery and stuff like that. She comes out perfectly fine. The doctor sits her down, like once she's about to be discharged, and says the following: "You are going to be healthy. Your kids are going to be healthy, but we couldn't remove some of the bullets from the womb. So what's going to happen is your children are going to grow with these bullets in them, and they're going to pass them out naturally like they would a splinter." So she's a bit worried about it, but they send her on her way, and that's that. Years and years pass, and these triplets grow up. They're perfectly healthy, perfectly fine, perfectly happy. One day, as she's doing a bit of laundry, one of the triplets runs up to the mum and says, Mummy, I peed out a bullet." And she's like, "Oh, it's happening. What the doctor said all those years ago. Okay." So sits the kid down, explains to him what happened, so he knows what happened, and then sends him on his way, relieved that it's finally starting to happen. A couple of days later, the second triplet comes by and says, Mummy, I pooed out a bullet." So she's like, "Okay, happening again." Sits him down, explains to him what happened, sends him on his way. A few days later, the final triplet comes by and says, Mummy. And the mum says, "Let me stop you. Have you either pooed or peed out a bullet?" And he said, "No, I had a wank and I shot the dog."
That was a good one.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's that one.
Jokes. I
Yeah.
don't know what Dan's talking about.
Listen, they're so bad they're good. That's the thing.
All right.
And this is from actually a moderator of mine. Think of a world where full of monkeys who have all stopped smoking. Planet of the Vapes. There you go. They hit that.
All right, that was a bad one.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much. Oh, one more thing. Who do you calling out to hop on the pod? In your circle of friends.
Who should I call out? I would suggest you guys potentially consider my good friend Vintorez. He's a moderator in a bunch of different chats. He's very involved with Tweak, for example, but he streams himself. I'm going to be playing a bunch of Cycle with him. The guy is a pain in my ass, but he's got a lot of interesting things to talk about. He's got a lot of stuff to talk about Tarkov. And he's a funny guy as well. He doesn't stream as much as let's say the other person, but he is. Yeah. He has a lot to talk about, and I think he'd be a good guest for sure.
Excellent, perfect. And Vintorez, that's his name.
Yeah, Vintorez. So it's VIN, right? Like as in like the VSS Vintorez from Tarkov.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right. Well, Claymore, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate this. It was fantastic talking to you.
It's been a pleasure. Absolutely. Like I said, I love coming on podcasts, and I had a lot of fun, man. A lot of good talking we had.